Welcome back to Good Day Stateline. We are celebrating moms all this week on GDS, and tonight we are chatting with Dr. Dana Sumpter, Associate Professor of Organization Theory and Management at Pepperdine Business School, about how moms can be a little less stressed at work. Hi, Dr. Sumpter.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, so being a mom, I hear, is a huge job, and adding another job on top of that can be quite a lot. What advice do you have for working moms, especially after the last 2 years of a pandemic?
Right, lots going on these days. There's always a lot going on, but especially with changes like this, right? I think one of the biggest changes and challenges that I've heard of in my research is really scheduling, right? That changes like returning to the office and figuring out new household routines. Who does what around the house? Who's going to pick up and drop off the kids? And when you're talking about two partners in a household, this means maybe two new schedules to coordinate. And so any change to the job will impact all of that. And as any house manager or house CEO knows, that can impact us all. There's also the challenge of uncertainty, right? Continued uncertainty around childcare and schooling. I know I'm not the only one who's had to have a kid stay home unexpectedly because of a runny nose, meaning, a few days until no symptoms or a negative COVID test. And that means my work plans are completely disrupted. And this is really one of the many reasons why COVID continues to have an outsized impact on women.
It's so true. You know what I always think is kind of comical when we think back to those first couple months of COVID? I think it was like the end of April when we found out that the world was still going to be shut down all of May. And we were like, oh, okay, I guess I know comfortingly like what to expect now. And we're kind of back into that mix of like not knowing what to expect.
Yep, definitely. And the real risk here, which I think is one of the biggest lessons for working moms right now, is that we settled into a new routine, right? We kind of had our routine before COVID. During COVID, things got shuffled around, and so we figured out something new. And now there's like this next chapter, right? And what happened during COVID, I learned this from my research on working moms during that time in 2020, is that there was a lot of reactive scheduling, reactive planning, like I need to work, so you take the kid, then we'll trade off. And so it was a lot of reacting. And I think now it's important to have more of an attitude of being proactive. How can I craft my work schedule, my availability, my responsiveness, my work-life balance in a way that's shaping it to where I want it to be instead of reacting to constant stressors and change?
Yeah, because I feel like just living in that reactive area, a physical feeling is stressful for everybody too.
Yes, definitely.
So
I think one of the
Go ahead, you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the things that we can do about it, right? Like let's kind of empower ourselves with some agency here, is that we can be really clear about our availability, right? Whereas when working remotely, maybe we were kind of constantly available. Now it's time to kind of rein that in a little bit. So especially when returning to the office, right? It's being proactive around what you want your work hours to be, and letting others know when you need to be off the clock, because we need to start to reestablish those boundaries around our responsiveness.
I think that's so important for everybody. How can organizations and companies, some other viewers who might be watching and thinking, oh, maybe I can help, what can they do to help?
Definitely. We can't let companies off the hook, right?
Yeah.
They've got some accountability here too. So I think first, keep your finger on the pulse of how employee reentry is going. This is time to listen and pay attention to how your folks are doing. So managers and leaders, have those one-on-ones, have some pulse check surveys, seek feedback. This is how you can anticipate where there may be problems, and especially understand how they can best support their folks. This is especially important for leaders who maybe don't have young kids at home, because they may have no idea how hard it has been or how hard it continues to be.
Yeah, especially when you hear I have a lot of nieces and nephews, and you hear, oh yeah, they just their school shut down for a week. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is their mom gonna do?
It's like fire drills all the time. So we've gotten almost used to that chaos.
Right.
So yeah, let's enter some planning and control into our schedules. That's another gift that employers and managers can really give their employees. It's the best gift for mothers, and with Mother's Day coming up, right? Listen to their needs. Consider how you can support them as they re-enter, and whenever you can, offer them the flexibility and control over their workflow and their schedules. That will help them navigate through these times.
Well, that sounds perfect. Is there anywhere we can go to get some more information?
Yeah, so during times of change and transition, it's always important to keep an eye on our mental health. NAMI.org, NAMI.org is a great resource for information. Contact your healthcare provider. And second, I'm obviously very biased, but considering a higher degree is a great way to jumpstart or revitalize a career, or maybe steer it to a new direction.
Sure.
So getting an MBA, Master's in Management and Leadership, or a master's degree in some other field, that's a great avenue towards those goals.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Good Day Stateline.